Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be discussing the benefits of MMC and in particular prefabricated wall panels. Be sure to subscribe and follow us, not to miss the second podcast at the start of June, which Keith Cotter from HSBCAD will be giving us a presentation on DFMA.
Yeah, also we've got TPI, Truss Plate Institute, is issued a comment period. It looks like we're getting ready to change it from 14 to TPI 2022. So if you have any input, the public review and comment period ends on June 20th, 2022.
Perfect. So yeah, get involved with that if you can. It's always good to make your opinions known in these reviews that happen. So looking at modern methods of construction, in particular in this short video, prefabricated wall panels, we're just going to run through some benefits, 4 or 5 benefits of them. They're not definitive list, of course. It's just a list that we've come up with. So the first one I would like to speak about is the standardized assemblies that we can get, Chris, with doing it as prefab. We can have R and U values. See, R values in the United States, U values in Europe is how it's worked. And obviously the lower the U value, higher the R value, it's the opposite, the better performing thermally. So with that and then the details that we put out, going with a supplier who does wall panels, this has all been thought about in advance rather than just framing on site. So looking at it here, what you can see here is the accredited details from the Scottish Government, and what we have is the thermal model there, the psi value, which you can use for your energy assessment as part of your thermal model. And so that will all be part of a standard detailing package. These are the credited ones, but of course you can work on your own details and have them thermally modeled independently for a benefit of the end user.
Thanks, Greg. So, there's so many values here. The way that this wall panel works is saving cost, right? When we look at what's on the screen here, you can clearly see the thermal value sticking in. So when we're talking about this, when we've got a panelized construction, right? We've got, how many times have you seen or heard, somebody nailing on the wrong side of the line, or heard the phrase, I can't see it from my house, right? Implying that because this mistake won't personally affect somebody's home, then to leave it as it stands. I mean, this is something I've heard so many times in my career. So I'll talk more about that when we get into the quality portion of our program.
And so another aspect, Chris, is the air tightness of your home. There's no point in going to all the effort of doing a really good job insulating your home if it leaks air and leaks heat. So having, you'll see there internally the VCL shown, that red dashed line, is important because that keeps your air tightness continuity throughout the building. So you need to make sure you're lapping and taping. Again, performance through detailing is important, and this is what buying a wall panel system from a reputable supplier, you're also buying that. You're not just buying the frame, you're buying all the technical know-how and detailing inclusive in that. So.
Right.
On to you with the next one, Chris.
All right, so when we're talking about build speed, obviously cost is a big factor when we're using wall panels. Fact is, framers using wall panels have less framers on job site, meaning less skilled labor. They got less waste reduction. It's a more green building, right? Your cost to erect them is roughly 40 to 50% cheaper from buying them from someone than it is to actually build them on site. right? And when we get into that, I mean, we also got to consider that we're trusting the human judgment and the knowledge of the tradesmen, you know? Did they show up sober? You know, so a good question. The waste, though, you can reduce your waste down, you know, more than 50%, not only in lumber, but in OSB, right? We're talking about a significant cost savings that just needs to be considered. The build speed, I mean, hands down, you're building them in a factory, right? When we're dealing with this, the cost is more upfront because you got to buy the panels as part of your package. But the cost is less down the line. And when we're getting into labor and erection, I mean, you can put up a level a day with some of these jobs that would take you a week, 2-3 weeks, depending on how big the project is.
Absolutely.
There are just so many advantages here. So.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said to you previously, Chris, I mean, you can get panels 10 meters or 30 foot, 32 feet long, so there's less junctions to have to contend with. So bigger the panels as well, faster that you can put them up with a crane, obviously. But you know, there's less junctions to be concerning yourself, which again gives a betterment thermally because you don't have as many thermal bridges if you have less junctions to contend with. So.
Well, that's true, and you can also get them stacked in sequence, so you're pulling them off of the stack as you want to set them. You know, this requires a little more communication with your manufacturer, but it can be done. And they can drop them in different spots all over the job site. Some companies will even provide just a panel layout, you know, basically a site plan with where they want to have them dropped off on site in different bundles. So can make a big difference with your crane time too.
Pre-planning does pay dividends when it comes to hitting the park, as they would say. So, absolutely.
Clear winner in cost and productivity in all categories.
Absolutely, Chris. So, moving on to the sustainability of materials. So, a lot now is to do with the net zero carbon agenda, and people are really concerning themselves with the where's the material coming from? Is it so? Buying from a reputable manufacturer of wall panels, you can have confidence that if they are PEFC or FSC accredited, they are buying their timber from a managed forest. And also pre-planning ahead of time allows you to put the correct insulation in to your values. Essentially, if you want natural insulants in there, you can instruct them to put that in as part of the package. So if sustainability is at the forefront of your mind, then the component manufacturer can and should accommodate that, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, sustainability, first of all, I mean, this is the National Green Building Program put on by the NHB recognizes panelized building techniques, not only for the reuse, but for the recycling of materials and the minimization of soil disturbance and job site erosion. So, you know, the fact that we're using less material means less waste, means less problems in the environment. So,
yeah, absolutely, Chris. Moving on to the quality now.
Factory quality. All right. First of all, you know, several things here. First of all, you're building them in a jig. Okay, they're fabricated specifically, uniquely, right? Sheathing is then applied to brace it, right? So all that's left is to assemble it like a jigsaw puzzle. So let's think about this for a minute. What does this mean? How many times have you seen gray lumber on a job site, right? I mean, it's just one of those things I just shake my head when I see it, you know? With panels, this isn't an issue, right? It's protected from the weather. Most of these facilities are inside, right? The panels can be covered, right? If they do happen to be outside. What about theft, right? How many times do you have your lumber and your sheathing growing legs on the job site and just walking off, right? You're going to have a hard time stealing a wall panel, right? I mean, you need a couple of people, and it's specific to
especially if they're 30 foot long as well, Chris.
Right. Well, those get pretty heavy. I mean, most of the time in the States here, we We build around in 12-foot lengths, depending on the height.
Yeah.
Material shortages, right? This is a big issue right now, especially with the rising cost and inflation and everything. Flexibility, right, in the factory. Stick framing changes, field changes become an issue, right? It's less of an issue when we're doing it properly in the design and planning stage. But one of the biggest reasons for factory quality, I've already mentioned, is installation, right? You get so many less pieces and parts. So using panelized construction can solve so many problems when it comes to this. Time savers, these systems are far superior than conventional building techniques.
And I mean, certainly over in the UK, Chris, I should imagine it'll be the same over in the States as well, that we're using semi-automatic and automatic systems to fabricate these panels now. So the guys working in the shop are feeding the timber in, but the nail end's done by computer. The position of the nail guns and everything else is all computerized, so the error, the errors that can happen are minimized, whereas compared to a person who's having a bad day, for example, not putting the right centers in the nailing centers, but it's all computerized. It comes from the design office down in the production package, and then goes into the machine, and it should be, as long as it's calibrated right, it should be as is. Should be as is, but there's less chance, and that's all down to factory quality, isn't it?
Right. And finally, and last but not least, demand. I mean, factory quality, it's a lot easier to find somebody to work in the factory than it is to find a skilled carpenter to show up on the job site. So, this is probably the biggest reason that panels are on the rise. And the fact that, the newer generations are leaning more towards apartment types and condominium types versus single family houses that folks of my generation tend to look for. So there just isn't enough skill out there sometimes to meet the demand, especially in these lower populated regions.
Yeah, and I mean that leads on to the next reason, part of the air business, but the skill shortage out there for the site guys, taking it off site means that we're taking some of that burden away from the guys that are required on site, because it comes in, I'd like to say, a jigsaw puzzle to put together on site, rather than having the guys sitting with a ripsaw cutting studs down. It's really labor intensive, but like I said, when you're using a semi-automated system or an automated system in a factory, you don't need skilled labor to produce the panels.
Plus you also have a level surface in the factory, right? Yeah. You might not have that on the job site, and your walls are going to come out square 100% of the time, which just doesn't happen on the job site.
It's all part of the QA checks as well, isn't it? That happens in the factory setting, Chris, is the QA checks that you expect to happen there. So I mean, listen, we could speak about this extensively, and we'll come, and no doubt we will revisit it. But I think that was that 4 or 5 points? But I mean, we could write a list of 20 points, I think, and we will revisit this subject, I think, and just to show the benefits of modern methods of construction to those that know kind of what it's about, but want a more in-depth reason for coming to a component manufacturer for a wall system. And we don't mind talking about an array of benefits for it. So hope that everyone enjoys the content, and get in the comments and discuss it and highlight your own benefits that you've seen if you've been using a component manufacturer.
And if you have any ideas for future topics, we're open for that too. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.